Doing a bunch of chores on a Sunday can feel like another work day. Sure, things that we don't really get to do um, on the weekdays after work or before work, we kind of want to do on the weekends. And oftentimes these chores are done in tandem with other people in our household or our friends or hopefully someone that we're trying to establish a relationship with. Now, someone a long time ago told me that to Rob, not every interaction that you have with a person needs to be interesting. It needs to be something novel or unique. And me being someone that seeks creativity in almost everything that I do and tries to inject a decent amount of energy into the things that I want to do, it's difficult for me to come to terms with that. In the sense that, well, how do you consistently stay unique? How do you consistently stay interesting to someone that knows you so well? Because to a degree, the things that they expect from us are what they're looking for. So there needs to be a sense of consistency for us to feel like we know the person, that we can rely on a person. So there's this paradox of trying to inject novelty into relationships and at the same time trying to stay authentic to ourselves. So how do we go about doing both of those in a way that's balanced, in a way that we're happy with in the long term and our relationships thrive? Well, there's a number of things that I've been thinking about, and I don't have all the answers, as per usual, but the things that I think about. So I spent a lot of time in the car with someone that I know quite well today, and I went out of my way to try to not get upset about the little things and to try to actually genuinely enjoy the things that make that person unique. And after having known someone for a long time, it can be difficult to do such things. It can be it can be a task altogether to try to muster up the energy to be grateful for such a relationship, especially when there's a reason to have tension potentially or reason to have conflict. You know, how do we keep our head above water and kind of keep calm? And the thing that I've kind of resorted to is, first and foremost, I think the most peaceful way to live a life is to stay baseline even, is to not be super emotional and energetic, and also just not be super emotional and negative about things, about experiences, about inputs that are coming from our environment. And in order to stay even keeled, in order to stay right in the middle, I think breathing techniques help a lot. I think having something that kind of holds you down to think about potentially the trajectory of a day, potentially the chronology of a day, but also something potentially spiritual, something that holds you down in general in life, and thinking in a macroscopic scale will allow us to more easily digest things that are immediately spiky or immediately difficult to come to terms with. And this takes a lot of practice. This takes consistent practice in environments that are highly stimulating, that are highly demanding, that are that test your patience. And a big part of this channel is me trying to traverse, situations in life where it's the one-off, the outlier event. It's the things that really have us thinking for a while afterwards. But a part of this channel also comes down to how do we just maintain? How do we maintain being the best possible people that we can be? And I think having that baseline, having that peace is a really, really essential part of staying motivated and happy in life. Because the worst thing that we can do is really chase away the people that we love, right? Or somehow give less to the people that are closer to us than we do to the people far away. Because oftentimes it tends to be easier to be kind to a stranger than our own family or our own loved one or our spouse, because we know them better, and we know that if we do something, then they'll kind of just have to deal with it. And I think that mentality when built up and compounded over years and years and years, can really, really end up hindering the growth of everyone in that relationship, everyone in that circle. So this is kind of why I'm harping about this, to have, if you know you're going to spend a lot of time with someone, obviously try to enjoy the shit out of it. You know, like your first and foremost thing is get whatever you need out of that relationship, sure, but also realize that by virtue of the amount of time that you're going to spend with that person, to measure yourself, to measure how loud you get in conversation, your volume, your breathing, your thought process, whether or not you're being taken for granted, and whether or not you're getting the space that you deserve. It's all of these things will matter a lot when you start spending 8 to 24 hours with people, potentially just even an individual. We must measure ourselves, and we must be grateful for the relationship in all the aspects of it, and we must laugh about experiences, right? Like, for a long time in college, I thought that I could change people, and I guess to some degree, you know, being in relationships, being in friendships or mentorships or whatever, by virtue of spending time with people, we do end up kind of passively changing them, their beliefs, the way that they function, whether or not they're doing certain things. But I also kind of had to swallow the pill to say to myself that it is not my responsibility to try to change every single thing about every single person around me, let alone I do not have the logic or the clairvoyance to really know whether or not my philosophies, the way that I approach the world, my actions are the most efficient, the best way for every human being to live their life. So that humbling process of sitting back and observing people for what they are, and not wanting to manipulate every little part of relationships and every little part of what people are, their philosophies or the things that they do, has given me kind of the state of mind that I'm talking about, that I can go and grab when I need and utilize. Now, I will say that this long kind of chore day, which is, you know, a lot of us go through this, actually began with me waking up in the morning and being very mindful about how I feel and making sure that I got enough sleep that day, and I wanted to go to the woods, and I wanted to take this person also to the woods to make sure that you know, those unique experiences that I'm hopefully expected to give people are being met, that criteria is being met, that person doesn't feel like, you know, I'm somehow different at home than I'm at work, or I'm different to my soul's quality is different with other people. So I did spend some time today vaguely meditating. Obviously, when you go alone or when you go with someone else, it's going to be a very different experience. But I think that actually did help quite a bit in terms of starting that process off. So I will put an asterisk on this and say, if you know you're going to spend a lot of time with someone, and you know that it can be tasking, if you're going for Christmas, for instance, is rolling around, right? You know, there's going to be a lot of family members, a lot of people around, some of which you might not particularly enjoy being around. How do we temper ourselves to get to a point where we don't let that affect us as much, and we actually genuinely enjoy the relationships? I think the morning of, if you have some time, just sit by yourself and find that peace in your life, and hold on to it, and try to stay within the bounds of that peace when we are engaging with people. It might come off, I think, to a lot of people that don't know us and consistently spend time with us, it might come off as not being particularly interested in the circumstance, or kind of being selfish or thinking about something else. But I think the alternative to coming off as kind of in the baseline is coming off as really aggressive and really angry, and making situations or statements that really we don't feel, where like genuinely we don't want to express, by virtue of not being in control of our emotions and not being in control of that peace, that sense of self. We can end up ruining relationships in a lot of these circumstances. So that's why I think it's really the wiser option to take some time to breathe and find that core of yourself before going into a situation where you know you might be tested in terms of your emotionality and your, I don't know, your soul, you know. So hopefully you found this interesting before Christmas, before Thanksgiving and all of that. I mean, it's not before Thanksgiving, but New Year's, you know, relationships require a little bit of peace from both ends. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Please smash that like button. That helps me out a lot. And throw me a comment, telling me maybe something that happened in your life that makes you think that this information is relevant. And subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you have any friends that like philosophy or getting some life lessons or getting some insight on how other people approach things, send them my way. I'm trying to build this out. As always, if you have time, there's the video here when I get a chance. Actualize your potential, my friend. This world needs you. Take care.